Good night, sir. Sorry for joining late.
All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
All right, so what were we discussing in the last class? Remind me.
So I think it was the complainant letter, and you asked us to do it and send it to you.
What, the letter of complaint?
Yeah.
You mean upload it, not send it to me?
Yes, sir. Upload it.
Right, and I actually looked at some of them and I realized that some of you are not paying attention to the way how it is marked in terms of the structure. I think we had started report writing in the last class, right? Guys, you have to answer me.
You ask if we have ever done, you never go in depth. You ask if we have ever done report writing, and you say it, some person list out, some you say it's some form of report.
And that was about it?
From what I remember, yeah.
All right, so let's go a little bit deeper into report writing. Let me just close a few of these things. Preview. All right, so today we're going to look, get more specific in terms of report writing. And I'm sure you guys saw that I sent you some emails, an email relating to report writing. Short form report. Actually have a lecture on it, which I didn't remember to do it. All right, so let me just quickly go through a lecture I have. So the first thing I'll say to you that is that report writing always comes on the final exam. I'm hoping you heard me very clearly when I said that, right? Report writing always comes on the final exam. So, and usually it's either the short formal report or the informal report. All right. So we did talk about what is report and all of that. I'm not going to get into that. The part that I'm interested in you knowing really is what are the differences between the short formal report. So this format is used in formal reporting situation, mostly internally directed, where middle or senior management reports to senior or top management, and the structure is very important. Well, the first part is not necessarily the terms of reference. The first part is that you have the date, usually you have confidential in uppercase, but I'll show you what that means. Terms of reference now. In this section of the report, the author details the scope of the report or its parameters within which he may investigate. What this really means is that you are, for the terms of reference for you, in other words, what it really means is what caused you to write the report. It could be that it was requested by a department or a specific manager or so forth. That's really what the terms of reference is. Then you have the procedure. Having outlined the report scope, the writer identifies the means he or she adopted to collect its data. In other words, how did you go about collecting data in order to write the report? By scrutinizing documents, by interviewing personnel, by visiting branches, by observation, by examination, analysis. And these are just various examples of procedure. The other part now are the findings, and usually you're supposed to have 3 to 5 findings. Here, the detailed information which has been collected is sifted for relative importance and relevance and classified under appropriate headings, usually in descending order of importance, where the most important comes first. All right. And then you have the conclusion. Usually have, so in this section, a resume or synopsis of the principal findings is written and is particularly helpful to those who may not wish to read the entire report. Usually you have 2 to 3 recommendations. Having classified the detailed information of the report and summarized its main conclusions, the writer's last duty, if required, is to identify the means by which a problem may be solved or a deficiency remedied so that decisions may be made or advice acted upon. All right. So what are the elements that must be in your short formal report? I am listening.
Sir, all of that on the screen.
I don't know what that means.
There are terms of reference, findings, conclusions, recommendations, procedures.
All right, and what do we mean by terms of reference again?
The reason for the meeting.
The reason for the
For
meeting?
the report.
I'm not sure it is the reason for the report. It's what triggered the report or caused the report to be requested. What about the procedures? What are the procedures? I am listening. What are the procedures? Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, sir.
What are the procedures? You don't remember what are the procedures? Let's go back. All right, can you tell me in your own words, what are the procedures?
Ways and means how we gather the report. So is it that?
Gather the report? Look on the screen for me. There's no such thing there. It's not a matter about gather report. How you collected data for the report.
Sir, it's me. Sir, it's me. It's ways in which we collect data.
All right. So how you go about collecting the data. All right. So notice that there's a findings, main subheading, main section heading, and then you have subheading. In other words, you must have at least 3 main subheading and at least 2 let me say it again. You must have at least 3 main section heading and at least 2 subheading under each section. All right. We're not ready for the short informal yet. Let's go into the lecture itself now. That was just really a kind of introduction because we're going to look at it in a more fulsome way and then do a class activity. and then move to the short informal. Here it is. All right, so these, is there anything, have I included all of the table of content for the short formal report? You're seeing my screen, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there anything missing or is it okay so far?
Okay, so far.
All right. So here's an example now, a sample of a short formal report. We see the title, Report on the Fall in Profits at Shoppers Stop Retail Store and Ansal Plaza, New Delhi. The date of the report, and we see the terms of reference. At the request of the general manager, in other words, who asked for the report to be compiled in his letter, and then this is the terms of reference. The author was instructed to, 1, investigate the reasons for the fall in profits at the Shoppers Stop, and 2, make recommendations in light of the findings. And remember I said you must have at least 2 recommendations. Remember now the procedure is what? How you go about collecting data. So in this case, they said one way of how they went about collecting data is that they looked at the sales records for the period January 1 to January 30, 2002 were inspected and compared with those for the second half of 2001. Second thing that was done to collect data, 200 customers were interviewed over 7 days and they gave the actual timeline. 3, the premises was carefully inspected both internally and externally. 4, the store manager, 3 sales assistants and 2 cashiers were interviewed. And 5, recent developments in Cleggowan, Mark, and the surrounding area were noted. So do we see how data were collected? There are 5 actual things that were done to collect data. Then we go to the findings. Findings, the extent of the fall in profits. Profits fell from, so this would be this part. Let me just draw it. So this part would actually be the main heading. And then this would come under it. Profits fell from a monthly average of 8% in the second half of 2002 to an average of 6%. And factors contributing to the fall in profits. And then of course, they list the factors. All right. I'm kind of just going over because I now want you to pay attention to the recording that is going to give you additional information that you must make. You must be taking notes. All right. Remember, I told you that this is coming on the final exam.
And how to do reports.
All right. So let me just full screen, and I'm going to take it all the way up to where it's relevant to us because I can't take on all the other things you can watch on your own. All right, so it starts somewhere here. So please listen.
Of the short report. Now you have given the general framework. Typically, a short report will start with the title. You will then give a 2 or 3 sentence listing of the terms of reference. Then you have your method of procedure. Then your findings, your conclusions, your recommendations, and then you sign it with the date and your contact details. Just going into these once again, you start off with your title. This should be a clear and concise name for the report describing the main content or the main purpose of the report. For example, this report is on key customer interview results from March to May 2017. Very clear and cannot be confused with another report. Then you list your terms of reference. This refers to the purpose, subjects, and limits of this report, normally only 1 or 2 sentences long. For example, this covers the sample interviews we held with key customers to determine the customer satisfaction rates and areas of improvement. These are your terms of reference. Next, you define your method of procedure. In this section, you describe how the investigation or research was carried out. Make clear references to any forms for surveys, interviews, questionnaires, observations or experiments that you use or used to reach your conclusions. For example, we made telephone contact with the customers and asked the questions as set out in the CRM questionnaire dated 12th of January 2017. In findings, now this makes up the main body of the report. And I cannot stress it enough. Deliver this in a very clear, concise, logical, objective and impersonal manner. In order to make it clear, use headings and subheadings. Use bullet points. Use quotation marks and clear paragraphs with maybe 1 to 1.5 line spacing. Next, you have your conclusions. Based on the findings, the information you give here must be unbiased and professional. Clear conclusions as a result of the work you've done. And now you come to your recommendations. You always present recommendations in a report in a descending order of importance. This means the most important recommendation comes at the top and the least important recommendation comes at the bottom. Give practical suggestions based on those findings and your conclusions. Now finally, give your report your signature and give the date and a means by which people can contact you. So to recap, the structure of a short report is first your title, then your terms of reference, then your method of procedure, then your findings, then your conclusions, your recommendations or call to action, and then your signature, date and contact details. The aim is to make your report a valuable one by keeping it professional, clear, concise and logical with a clear understanding of the reader with just enough details, not too much, and a clear call to action at the end. So, we've come to the end of the video.
All right. What are we expected to write for our short formal report in terms of the core areas of focus?
So you need a title, a clear title. You need the procedure as to how you go about collecting the data.
Yes.
You need
what comes before the procedure? Can somebody help her? The other students who are in the class?
Terms of reference, sir.
Terms of reference. And what do you mean by terms of reference again?
It refers to the purpose.
What strikes the report?
Not what strikes the report, what initiated the need for the report. Did I not send this to you guys? Hello? What happened? Are you guys hearing me? Did I email this to you?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you. I think so. I'm not sure. I did read some, but I don't remember if I had read that.
Okay, just checking. All right, so let's look at an actual case that could come on the exam. So I'm sure you're still seeing my screen. So it says, oh, hold on. Where's my thing over here? What the? All right, so it says the ban on single-use plastic bag and styrofoam products in Jamaica took effect on January 1, 2019. However, your food establishment has had major challenges, including sourcing alternatives. While the suppliers are willing to fill the need, it will take them an additional 2 months and it would be costlier. As the manager of this establishment, you are required to do the following. Write a formal report, a short formal report to the National Environmental and Planning Agency, NEPA. This report should include 1, background to the issue, 2, 3 specific challenges your company has been experiencing, and 3, at least 2 recommendations to alleviate the problem. How would you approach this? Can you think of a title or anything like that? What would be your terms of reference?
Mr. Could the title be no plastic, no styrofoam?
No plastic, no styrofoam. How is that? That doesn't sound like a title for a report. What was the title on the one that we looked at before? Let's look at the title up top. Remember, this is a formal document. This is not it's not a press release. So report on, so this is titled. So we could start with report on, and what are we reporting on?
Sir, so it would be report on the ban on single-use plastic bags and styrofoam products in Jamaica. Could that work, sir?
That's a start. It will take
Sir, could maybe she could add and its challenges.
And its impact on companies or impact on the big name company, because remember who's writing it, it says what, as the manager of this establishment. So it means that you have to, so it would be report on the ban on single-use plastic bag and styrofoam products has on, let us say, give me the name of a popular restaurant. Give me the name of a popular restaurant. Oh, Jesus.
Let's say Tracks and Records.
Let's say on Tracks and Records, all right? Do you need to address it to somebody? Because let's just say it's NEPA, right? Let's say, who would you address it to if it's going to NEPA? Remember, you don't have to know the actual person's name. Under exam condition, you make up some of these things. You don't need to know the actual person's name. But who would you be addressing it to? If you're sending a formal report to NEPA, it would be the executive director. Let me ask you this. In terms of your terms of reference, what would you write for your terms of reference? Let's look at this example. How would you formulate your terms of reference? And we're just discussing it. I think you need to take a picture of this so that you can see it very clearly. Have you taken a picture of this part, this screen? All right, so let's go back down now. What could possibly be your terms of reference? How would you frame or phrase your terms of reference? Is anybody going to try and answer me? All right, in terms of your procedure, how would you go, what would you write for your procedure?
Sir, the major challenges.
For the procedure, that's what you're going to write? What we said is what we said about procedure. What is procedure again?
Sir, it is how we go about finding the data.
Right. Please write down the information if you don't have very good memory. Right. Yes, I tell you to take notes, people. I will have no mercy on you when I'm marking your papers. Let me just tell you. All right. So make sure you're taking notes. All right. So talk to me about if you were to go about collecting data for this particular report, how would you go about collecting data? Where would you collect data, or from whom would you collect data?
Sir,
Different restaurants.
company interview.
So it could be company. Who are you interviewing in the company?
The managers.
So the managers of which company?
Sir, from the companies that uses the plastic bags and or styrofoam products.
All right, so we're going to interview companies, the managers of companies that use plastic bag and styrofoam products. Is there anything else we can do in terms of procedure? Let's just look at the example up top.
Sir, could we use a questionnaire?
For what? What are you using the questionnaire for?
Questionnaire on how would I put it? I said so we'll do a questionnaire on the customers who usually get their goods and products in these styrofoam or plastic bags.
So you're talking about carrying out a survey.
Oh, yes, sir.
You use a questionnaire, but that's just one type of instrument to carry out a survey. All right. Anything else? Is there anybody else you'd want to interview or anything like that? Let's look at the actual suggested answer. All right. This is a sample answer from a student I taught in 2019. So confidential for that. So one of the things that you need to make to ensure that it's in your short form report is confidential. Most short form reports are usually supposed to be labeled confidential because it usually is going to somebody specific. All right. So report on the ban of single-use plastic bags and styrofoam products. All right. The terms of reference. This is, and you can tell me if you agree with these terms of reference or not. Following the ban on single-use plastic bags and styrofoam products, the chairman of the National and Planning requested an investigation on our company's use of single-use plastic bags and styrofoam cup. What I would have put here is the name of the company. I wouldn't have put our. The report was to be submitted on January 2019. The procedure now. In order to ascertain the precise challenges of the ban on single-use plastic bags and styrofoam products used, the following investigatory procedures were adopted. Information about the recent purchases of these certain products, I don't know what that means. Questionnaires were sent to all employees to obtain an estimated number of certain products used daily. A meeting was held to discuss the challenges management team. And I think this procedure is actually very limiting. I actually prefer some of what you said. One of the things that I would have looked at was to compare sales between compare sales prior to the ban and sales after the ban. What do you think about that? Because that would fit into the whole notion of a challenge.
Yes, sir, that's true.
It would
Yes,
fit in the
sir.
challenge. Because if you're not being able to meet your, if you're not even able to break even, then you can't pay your staff and you can't, invest in your company. You might have to lay off people. All right, some of the findings. So I found her procedure very wanting, the findings. But what I liked about the findings though, remember I told you that the findings, you're supposed to have a main heading and then you have your sub headings, at least 2 to 3. But for findings, she has 1, 2, 3 points and at least 2 sub points under. Do we see that? We're seeing that, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? And then we're seeing the conclusion and the recommendation. I'm not even getting into whether or not it is correct or not. All right. And it is signed by a specific person. Usually when you sign it, you're supposed to put your name below because this is going to the executive director who does not know who K. Thomas is. So you write K. Thomas, then you write, if it's Kerrine Thomas below, you put Kerrine Thomas, CEO of Takeout Restaurant. Fair enough, guys? Make sense?
Yes, sir. It
Yes,
does.
sir.
All right, let's look at another example before I give it a class activity. I actually sent you this one, I think, in the what is this? Okay. Oh, this was start. Okay. All right, so let's share. We're going to look at the example that I sent you guys via email, which is far more detailed, far more detailed. You don't have to be this detailed, not under exam condition. There's no way you will be this detailed under exam condition. Just ensure that you have certain core things there. All right, I think this is just the letter of complaint, which you guys did already, and letter of adjustment, which I'm going to teach on Wednesday. It's very simple. All right, so this is not what I'm looking for. I think this is a, not that. This is the informal. All right, here is a specimen of a short formal report. And here you have, again, this is written in a memo form, but don't ignore the memo form. Just focus on report on the proposal to introduce a flexible working hour system in head office. Terms of reference on January, whatever, the managing director instructed a specially set up working party to investigate the practicality of. It's always good to have something like investigate in yours, investigate the practicality of introducing a system of flexible work week. The report was to be submitted to him by 21 for the consideration of the board of directors. Then you see the procedure. In order to obtain relevant information and opinion, the following procedures were adopted by the working party to acquire the information in the report. Current office administration literature was reviewed, and they give you all of that. And if you look on the findings, they give you core broad headings and then sub points. So 3.1 principles of flexible working hour system, and they give you the findings. Core time ban during this period, all staff are present at work. Then they give you another, that was what, 3.1. Then you go to 3.2, which is here, discussions with departmental managers, and they give you the core. Then you get 3.3, which is sounding off staff opinion. All right, everybody got that? It's in your email because it was sent to everybody. It's a longer version, but I would never encourage you to do this very detailed thing under exam condition. All right, but of course, you're not going to do something that is flimsy either. There has to be this delicate balance. Are there any questions? Is there anybody who didn't get it in terms of the short formal report?
Sir, I kind of get it, but I don't mind you going through it again, over it again.
You mean the entire thing I just teach a while ago?
No, sir, just like the little last part there.
Oh,
sorry.
okay, all right, so let me reassure. That's not where I was. All right, so which one was I looking at? This one. You're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the last part that I think you're mentioning is this. All right, this is a short formal, right? So I'm saying these things are, remember, no, this is a more detailed example. So the findings, just remember what I said about findings. You must have at least 3 headings under findings and at least 2 subheadings under each finding, or 2 sub-finding under each broad heading. Understand? So 3.1 is principles of the flexible work hour system. Under 3.1, they have found this: 3.1.1, 3.1.2, 3.1.3. And they kind of explain what these things mean, right? And then the second thing under finding now, or the second finding, is discussions with departmental managers. Then you write on that. If you want to write it out in what you call continuous prose or kind of in bullet form, no problem. The third finding is 3.4, which is the cost of introducing a flexible working hour system. And then you have the conclusion where it says, in the working parties view, the advantages of introducing a flexible working hour system outweigh disadvantages. Head office service to both customers and field sales staff would improve staff morale. So they're giving you the advantages and disadvantages. Then they are making recommendations based on the findings. So as a result of its investigations, the working party recommends that the board of directors gives active consideration to the following: that the introduction of flexible work hour system be accepted in principle by the board, and staff consultations begin as soon as possible, that all departmental managers be requested to provide . All right, is it a little clearer now?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, so let's try one now, but I'm going to let you do it in group form. So let me say short formal. Let me just put in the word short. as this just say formal report. Let me share screen. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want you to take a photo of the screen so that I'm going to put in groups, only two groups, and then I'm going to give you half hour to come up with your short formal report, at least one sentence under each section, and then we move on to the short informal report. All right? Taking the picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know how much of it can actually hold in the chat. They usually don't give you everything in the chat. All right, a lot of it actually holds in the chat. So for persons who, we can actually go into the chat. All right. Oh, I didn't claim host. Let me claim host quickly. And then, all right, breakout room. Yeah. All right, so there's somewhat of a balance in the breakout room, and I notice my same faithful students from last semester are the same faithful ones here this semester. Anytime the semester is coming to a close, people get absent. People are absent, not knowing that this is a very critical topic. I'm telling you, it's coming on the final exam. Short formal report, short informal report, letter to the letter of complaint, letter of adjustment, combination resume and letter. I can tell you those things come on the final exam. So I'm going to give you half hour. Please divide the time to work among you very quickly to attempt that one. Probably what I should do is don't go in the breakout room yet. Let me close the group. All right, so group one, you're going to do this one for me. Georgette, Kamalia, Nicole, Patricia, you're going to do that one for me. Group two, let me give you something different because I actually have a past paper. Let's not do the same thing. Let me give you a past paper question. This is not what I want. No, I know where I found it. I just remember. Person sent me some past papers. Okay, here it is. Group two, Dervet, Jahim, and Shojel, please take the photo of this one. No, that's not what I want. You're doing 2A. You're doing 2A. Okay? Let me know when you have taken the photo. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'm going to put you in the breakout room now. I'm giving you exactly half hour. So you must can get up at least. So what you do, just know that you're supposed to know the title, the terms of reference for the procedure. Don't give me everything, a single thing for the procedure. Give me at least something for the findings and the recommendations, all right? I'm going to stop you at 7:30. I'm going to close the breakout room at 7:30. Please go into the breakout room.
Not seeing a breaker room, sir.
I'm not sure why you're not seeing it because the breakout room is open. Okay, so you guys must have something to show me. Go ahead for me, group one. Georgette, Kamalia, Nicole, Patricia, to Sister Shay. Let me see what you guys produce. I'm background. Is this a short formal report? I thought I would have seen terms of reference, not background. Scroll for me. It looks like a memo, actually. How is this terms of reference? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm mixing it up. Don't say sanction. If you did an interview, just say that you did an interview. Was it a face-to-face interview? So you had a meeting with the parents, teachers, and students to find out? You can't have a meeting with the parents and the teachers and the students in the same setting. The students are not going to openly talk about it. So I would revisit that procedure. Scroll for me. And that's how far you reached.
Yes, sir.
All right, scroll back up for me. Give me a sec. Who's the report presented to and who is it being presented by? So why am I seeing colon? Where's the title of the report? So it should be for the attention. Who is, remember I told you to follow the example, for the attention of whom? Who's the report going to? And what's the title of what's the job position of that person? So the way the formatting you have is as if you have written it as a memo. When was the report presented or should have been presented? There are several things that are absent from this. So the report was to be submitted on I'm not understanding the background. Background is usually for the short informal, not the short formal. Scroll down for me. Is it that this background should have been included in the as a part of the terms of reference? So I think whatever you have as a background should have been included here. All right, thanks. Stop sharing. Thanks very much. You're heading in the right direction. You just need to tweak it. And I know that I asked you to do this under time constraints. So I'm sure if you had been given adequate time, it would have been a little bit more, a bit tidier. Our group 2, Carrie and Renee, Sajel, let me see what you guys have.
General was sharing. I'm not seeing it in the chat, in the participation.
I'm not understanding. Are you going to share a screen or what? Who's sharing from group 2?
Sorry, Jaim is the one who supposed to share screen.
You mean Jahim who hardly comes to class? You guys really give it to Jahim? And he's always he's not in the class now?
He was there with us, working with us.
Jesus Christ. How can you rely on somebody who's hardly at the class? Renee is always at the class. Why? And Shajel is all three of you are always at the class, and you hand it over to this young man.
Sir, when he get kicked off and him that share it perfectly after, so we never know them that they kick off look well. He literally type everything.
Christ.
I really need
Alright.
to give him a chance.
Okay, when he comes back,
Yeah.
you women are far too forgiving. You need to watch people's track record. He's hardly at class. He hardly says anything in the class, and you hand it. 3 of you are always at class, and you hand it over to somebody who visits the class. Oh, perfect. All right, so let's move on. If he comes back, we'll pick it up. So now we go to looking at the short informal report, and it's kind of similar to the short formal. It's just that the headings are not necessarily the same. All right, so for the short informal report, the content of this report falls into 3 principal sections: beginning, middle, and end. In other words, introduction, body, and conclusion. And how it is sectionalized is you have the background, which is really similar to what is called the terms of reference. But in terms of the body now, you have the problem and the situation analyzed at each stage in the body. Problem, situation, resolve, things like that. The opening, so this is the background for the short informal, or for the informal report. The opening section puts the report into a context and briefly outlines the essential background information needed to make the detailed information which follows in the middle section intelligible to the reader. This section would also indicate who had commissioned the report, its author, and any further details corresponding to the quote-unquote terms of reference of the short formal report. So it's somewhat similar, but ask a little bit more. The findings or analysis of problems. This section displays systematically the detailed information which has been collected by similar methods to those identified in the procedure section of the short formal. So again, now the body takes on the procedure, but what is happening now is it's also going to take on the findings. So information should be written in paragraphs under suitable subheadings, which may also contain numbered lists or tabulated information. Then you have the conclusion or the resolution. In this last section, or the main points of the report are summarized as conclusions and any actions required, recommendations or means of resolving a problem outlined. Thus the conclusions and the recommendations sections of the short form report. Again, it's a bit similar. Let's look at an example. Is it that Mr. Sir is back and able to share? I'm still not seeing him. No, I'm not seeing him. Let's look at, where am I looking for? Oh.
He's back, sir.
Oh, he is? Oh, Mr. Jahim, are you able to share? Go ahead for me, group 2. I'll pause for you. It's not very often something like this happens. So let us pause. Mr. Glennon, are you going to share, sir? Can you respond, please?
Sir, I'm trying to share the screen.
Are you still trying to share the screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you just email it to one of your classmates, please, for them to share? I'm going to continue.
I'm do that.
All right, so the actual structure of the short informal report is introduction or background, findings, results, facts, all under the body of it, and summary, conclusions, recommendation. So there are really 3 sections, not necessarily 3 paragraphs, but 3 sections, major sections in the informal report. So under introduction, it details the purpose of the report or the reason for the report. In other words, what triggered or what caused the report, who warranted the report and why was it warranted. It previews the key points to be discussed, and it also outlines the data collection methods. So what happens here in the introduction, you see that there's a kind of merging of the procedure and the terms of reference in the introduction, and then the findings, results, or facts now fall under one broad heading: results, findings, facts, and then the conclusions and recommendations are placed in another. All right, let's listen to some additional information about the short formal report. Where is it? And I'm actually thinking, there's actually no word. You just have to pay attention to the screen. No, but there should be sound. Because if I'm not hearing any sound, but there are points that you can take away from this. I kind of brought it all the way to where it becomes very relevant instead of going through all of these. And they showed you in a sort of a memo form, but even though it's memo form, just pay attention to the parts that are critical, because a report can take the form of a memo. It's just that we are not teaching that at this level. At least this is not included as a part of the syllabus. So we have the title. All right, let me not use this video. I think it's a little bit misleading. In fact, that you're not hearing anything. I think there's a comment. All right, let's look at an actual example. Do I have the example here? All right, so this now is a more detailed short formal report. As I said on the exam condition, just give them basic things. So the title page, well, not on the exam condition, but you have the introduction, which covers the purpose or the overview, why important, objectives, and then you have, this is the part now where you're kind of merging the discussion and all of that. And then of course you have the conclusion, recommendations, and findings in one section. Let's look at an example I have in the, actually I wasn't sharing screen. Was I sharing screen a while ago, guys? No, I wasn't. I should have been sharing screen. I know you guys are a bit tired, but just bear with me. We must look at it. Let me just share screen. Short formal. All right, so the short informal, right, here it is. So here they're saying to you about, ignore the memo part of it up here, and you're supposed to label it if it's supposed to be confidential or not. Of course, you definitely put the date, right? And you follow the same thing about report on, so you put confidential, attention off, or for the attention off, you put the person's name and their title. All right. And the introduction now answers the 5 W's. So on Tuesday, you asked me to investigate the current wasteful use of stationery in the department and to suggest ways in which it might be used more economically in the future. My report was submitted to you on this information. They kind of lay out the information and then now have the conclusion. If you realize these are just the broad headings, what I suggest you do under exam condition is not to write anything too lengthy and not under nor anything too short. I think there's the past paper that I have, and I'm going to show you as well. There's a question and actual answer there, which was related to a short formal report. Right, write this short informal report. And on the answer key, they actually indicate to you what it looks like. All right, so let's look at it together. And I just quickly want to touch on the letter of complaint that I have some concerns with. So this is a short formal report. So they say that if you go back, they said that you're supposed to write a short informal report. So it says content, organized. So here's it. For the organization, this is really what you're putting it in your short informal report: the background, the findings, and the conclusion. Very, very simple that you remember this particular part of the short informal report. All right, when we come on Wednesday, we will look a little bit more at that. Also on Wednesday, we're going to look at the letter of request, which I think we can actually do. And one other thing, and then we're finished with the course. Let me just quickly go to, everybody understands the short informal? The trick to it, people, hear what I normally say to students for the short informal, because sometimes they're trying to make a distinction between the two. For the short informal, just to have the background, body, and conclusion, and just use the same approach that you take for the short formal for the informal. I will give you the marks nonetheless. All right, so don't kill yourself, but I'm telling you that they're coming on the exam. Short formal and short informal, they are coming on the exam. They usually come on the exam. I want to quickly address something that I have a concern about in terms of what I saw was uploaded to Turnitin for the letter of complaint. I actually went through all of them. And I was a little bit concerned because persons ignored. May I share a screen with your letters? Because I don't want anybody to say I'm trying to embarrass them. May I share a screen? This is just for demonstration purposes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. So remember now that there are certain rules in terms of how you organize your letter of complaint. All right. Remember now, in the first paragraph, it is really telling me the date of the problem, or to some extent, that's what the, all right, let me share this with you then. Easier way of explaining it. Let me show you a mark scheme, right? Letter of complaint. Instead of, so you have a reference point. All right, so if you look here, this is a mark scheme, right? For letter of complaint, content, organization, grammar. But it says under organization, this is where, which is what? Right, under content, this is where you get a lot of marks, right? It says appropriate introduction of self and complaint. The next paragraph describes the incident or describes the problem. The next paragraph talks about the inconvenience caused. And the last paragraph, which is just like a sentence or two, talks about how you want to be compensated or redressed. Do we understand that? So the first part introduces the problem. The second part describes the problem. The third paragraph talks about how you have been inconvenienced or impacted by the problem. And the last paragraph talks about how you wish to be compensated or how the matter or the problem can be resolved. Everybody understands that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let's now look at, let's just go randomly and see if that is what has happened on Turnitin because, all right, so this is Carry On. Daily Carry On, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Permission to share screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's look at this example, right? We have all of that. It is with deep regrets that I am writing this letter of complaint to you to express my disappointment today. I am yet to receive all the grades. All right, what is missing from here is a lot of information in terms of specificity. I don't know when you did the exams and when the grades were supposed to be posted. All right, so none of that is here. All right, the second paragraph now is supposed to describe the problem. The third paragraph is supposed to indicate how you have been inconvenienced. If my grades were ready on time, my application would be the first batch as I had received the application post from a reputable source before it was actually published. A notice was sent informally. This is not telling me that. The final paragraph, I think, to some extent, I therefore recommend that all efforts be placed on the organization of the school's affairs so that as to prevent this mishap from happening. So the final paragraph gets to that. But the other paragraphs are problematic because the first paragraph is not specific. I don't know which academic year you're talking about. Let us say that I get this thing some other time and I'm just looking at the first body paragraph. When did you do the exams? During what academic year or what month and year? All right, and when were you told that the grades would have been posted? That kind of thing. Everybody understands that?
Yes, sir.
Right, so I'm pointing out these errors so you don't make them under exam condition. All right, let's look at another example. Hopefully if I go here, it doesn't take away share screen. This is Jahim. And as I said, I'm just going randomly. Permission to share, sir? Is he there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so first of all, the letter seems very short. How many paragraphs? 1, 2, 3. We're supposed to have 4 paragraphs. All right, that's the first issue. And her name is Dr. Malcolm Walker. This is not specific enough. The inconvenience caused. My mentor is requesting a copy of my grades by Thursday of this week to check up on Thursday of which week? Which week is it? You see, no specific dates are in the letter. Nothing specific is in the letter. So again, that's a problem. Why did I stop share? That's not what I wanted to do. Let me just go to let's turn it in. Let's go to another one. And again, I say I'm just choosing them randomly. This is Kamalia. Kamalia, permission to share?
Yes, sir.
All right, you don't need this in it, all right? Delay of semester 1 grades. I'm a student from the School of Business and this letter is written to express the discouragement associated with the delay semester 1 grades to be uploaded to ARN by the respective parties, all right? So at least you said that you're a student in semester, in the School of Service. You could have said, I'm a first-year student who did my exams during the month of whenever, 2021. All right. After the matter had been discussed, we were informed that all grades, this seems as if there was a conversation that happened that I, as Dr. Malcolm, would not be privy to, because you're now saying after the matter had been discussed. Where was this discussed? If I read a paragraph before, I am not, there's no continuation or there's no flow from the first paragraph into the second paragraph that indicate that there was a discussion. I hope you're seeing my point, Kamalia.
Yes, sir. I'm seeing it.
All right, this delay has created a limitation to accessing resources that would have been. Is the third paragraph supposed to be describing the inconvenience suffered? Yes. So this paragraph is okay. I'm not overlooking the challenges, but I believe that if extra hands are needed to be distributed, then it should be done. I urge the department to respond. So these two paragraphs are okay, the third and the fourth, but the other paragraphs are a little bit weak. All right, let's look at another one. What time is it? Because I don't want to keep you guys over the time. Let me look
Remember,
at,
we don't share yet.
yes? Let me
As
look at,
reminding that we don't share as
oh, I'm not sharing?
we don't share our part of work yet.
What do you mean? I'm not understanding.
The one you just gave us, sir.
Oh, yes. Oh, let me stop sharing. Okay, go ahead, guys. Let me look at what you have so far. Because the students actually got the chance to do that today. My bad. And you can treat the extra time as consultation time. My sincere apologies. I forgot that you guys were supposed to show me what you have so far. The day students did show me and I commented. All right, so this is the coursework 3, right? But this looks like you're sharing for the short formal report. All right, so where does it start? It starts at the title. Talk to me, guys, while you're sharing, but you're not talking. And I'm asking questions. When is your coursework due? Is it tomorrow?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow.
At level 59.
Do anybody has anything you want me to look at before you go in terms of your coursework so I can comment? All right, so I take that as a no. The day students use the opportunity to kind of show me what they were working on. I commented on what they need to improve and all of that. So my evening students, who I thought were more disciplined and all of that. All right, so talk me through this now, Miss Daly. Where does the report begin? Does it begin? Why when I ask you go off screen? I don't understand. I'm just asking a question. I never said that anything was wrong. Why did you take it off the screen? I'm just asking you to show me where your report begins.
So I can unmute the mic when I'm sharing.
No, them send it to somebody else who have a sharing problem. Why that group is special, but
No, sir, because I'm using the tablet, so Jesus.
it
But
should
other
not.
group members can talk. I'm not the only one in the group where they don't talk.
Right, so share again, and then I'll, Mr. Jahim, you don't normally talk, so this is your grand opportunity. I've never heard you spoken in my class, so for the first time in the history of mankind, I'm going to hear how you talk. So share, Miss Daly, and Jahim is going to walk us through. And afterwards, if anybody has any coursework that you have done, if you have started your coursework and you want me to look at it, please go ahead. I will remain at least for another hour looking at your coursework, just to ensure that you get maximum marks. Miss Daly now, but that's still, oh, goodness, you guys are special. Anybody has anything you want to show me for your coursework? So nobody started.
We can't email it
Yes,
to
sir.
you.
No, I'm not reading any email. I'm going to, when I finish with you guys, I'm going to watch a show. I have a life. Just remember that. Yes, I have a life. I'm going to watch my show. Right now, I'm actually watching, but I'm only reading the words. That's how important it is to me. But I'm also very dedicated to my job. So, no, just share, people. If you share now, everybody will benefit from the process. That is what will happen. If you share, So even if there's an error in yours and I point it out, all the your other, you will benefit and your classmates will benefit. So that's why I want you to actually share, not to email
Sir,
it
I'm
to me.
actually gonna share.
All right, go ahead, Miss White. All right, so this is the memorandum. Right, so I like the fact that you have this is the logo. Is the memorandum, if I remember the case, is the memorandum coming, is the memorandum being sent by Capri to Capri or somebody outside of Capri to Capri? I'm trying to remember.
Sir, sorry, it's actually to the stakeholders.
Who are these stakeholders? I'm going to search for the
Government
case.
Bodies. It's actually external.
No, but if it's going to a government body, it has to be going to somebody specific. It can't be going to, it has to be going to some specific body. So let me find the coursework just to make sure that this is the one about copyright. All right, so let me look because I think I revisited with the day group. So it says, as the chairman of the newly formed coalition, write a memo to be sent to the chair of Capri. Okay, so you're not a part of Capri. So I think you need to kind of make up a group. It's like give the group a name. Understand? Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
So give it a name. Give the coalition a name because it has to be coming from somewhere.
So wait, where in the was that the two?
Remember, I sent you
So
the
that means you wouldn't have the logo at the top then.
right. That means the
Should have
logo
to change it.
right is incorrectly used because this says that you are, as a chairman of the newly formed coalition, write a memo to be sent to the chair of Capri, prepare the agenda for this meeting, draft the action minutes from this meeting, and publish a press release to highlight the outcome of the meeting and confirm the coalition's commitment to protecting rights and has created and mainstream including child protection, coalition was formed to meet with Capri and government. Exactly. So you could choose, for example, just choose one of the parenting group that exists, or if you want to make up one, and I need to point that out to the day students. I think they made the error as well. I think I corrected. All right, so make up the name, make up a name, or choose like whether it be Jamaica parenting group or some foolishness like that. Well, I shouldn't say foolishness like that. This memo seems quite short. You sure this memo is, you have fully ventilated the, this memo is, let me just look back at the thing to make sure that the memo, write a memo to be sent to the chair inviting them to a meeting to discuss their recommendations. All right. And to provide, so it is two-tiered, to discuss their recommendations and to provide suggested alternatives. Should the memo identify the recommendations by Capri, as well as suggested alternatives? What do you think, guys? I feel like I'm by myself.
Sir, you're not by yourself. We're here.
Right, so I'm asking, let me just download this thing. And also the formatting of the memo. Let me show you the format that you have to use, because I actually went to school today and got the stop sharing and let me show you the example. Share screen. Where is it? Did I do this? No, this is not what I want. Are you seeing my screen? No. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me stop sharing here and share back. All right. You're seeing my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is really how you should write it according to the course. So the textbook prescribes it this way. All right, so I think your memo needs to be a little bit more, needs to have some more meat on the bone, because if it says that you want to meet with them to discuss their recommendations, if you're inviting me to a meeting and you're giving me a memo, you're sending a memo to me, I would want to know which specific recommendations you're going to want to discuss and probably why. Make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, because remember, I'm not a part of this coalition group, I'm external, and you're sending me a memo, and if you want me to treat you as a serious coalition group that has the concerns of that is trying to protect the children from being exposed to abortion without parental consent, I would want a memo to be not a book, not be on a page, but at least to have the recommendations that you'd want to discuss with us, and also another, and probably also for them to consider. So I would say something like, in preparation for the meeting, we would want you to consider these alternatives. For example, I'd probably just give them 3. Pick 3 of their recommendations and give my 3 alternatives to their recommendations and include it in the memo. Fair enough? Make sense? So I think your memo is a little, I think your memo is a little bit short. All right, let me go share back screen for me so that I can.
Sir, so the memo would have about 4 paragraphs?
I don't see 4 paragraphs, but I don't see one or probably 2 to 3 paragraphs, probably.
Okay, sir.
All right, let's scroll down. And remember, the academic front is what? Times New Romans, right?
Sir, I know it's a new Roman 12.
Okay, all right, scroll down for me. Anna, I stop reading the memo now. You have to correct that. Shit, go down, move on for me, please. Thank you. All right, so this is the agenda.
Nothing else is there much. I'm still on the agenda.
And the agenda is not ready yet, you know. All right, so you better fix this agenda.
Sir, I know. Sir, I know.
All right. Anybody has tried the press release? Let me look at it. Let me see what you have for your press release. And then has anybody tried one of my day students, she actually did her, you saw that I sent you the template for the what kind of minutes again?
Action minutes, sir.
Action minutes, right. Please use that template. Right, I sent you the template for the action minutes. Please use the template. Anybody has any press release to show me or anything? Nobody now to show me. All right.
So I'm going to show you my action minutes, sir.
All right, go ahead. You're so quick him gone. You see Glenn away one day, so quick him disappear out of the class. You hardly come, him shouldn't listen. The Lord will come back for his word before you share that screen.
Sir.
All right, so let's see the action minutes. So remember the action now. Scroll up, let us see what's happening. Yes. All senior members of JCF. What's the name of it's Jamaica Pegasus? That's not the full name of the hotel. So you need to give the correct name, okay?
Yes, sir.
I think it's the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel and something another. So just ensure that in business settings, you have to write the correct name for posterity. So even though we know it now, 100 years down the line, they might be looking at it as a historical record and they don't know what is Jamaica Pegasus. All right, so scroll down for me. Leading factors of homicide. Hold on. I don't. Motion to activate community alerts in more volatile communities. Okay. Why can't I get any specific names from the investigation? So senior personnel from the criminal investigation branch. Did the branch not have one name? I'm just saying, and I'm just kind of poking you, but I'm just saying that, can you be a little bit more granular? You don't have to be, but if you really want to impress me, you could be a little bit more granular.
Okay, sir.
Yes, scroll down for me. Oh, don't move yet. Action. All right. I know, scroll for me. I know exactly what is wrong because it was actually in the day groups. All right, scroll for me. So this one, to employ patrol units in remote areas, scroll for me. Let me see the action. All senior personnels, all right, to implement web cameras, scroll for me. All right, let me tell you what is wrong with these minutes. From a policing perspective, you are only approaching it with brute force. I don't see anything about social intervention. Because if you say, no, remember, I know, it says the frightening frightening Jamaica Gleaner headline is of great concern to all civic-minded Jamaicans. However, sorry, the JCF is called to action to examine their crime fighting mechanisms. All I'm seeing in your crime fighting action minutes are military approach. So there's no room for any social intervention. There are no specific, I say, for example, JPS of all the places to mention, you mentioned well, you mentioned JPS. So I'm saying if it is the commissioner of police, there needs to be a more balanced approach. So I'm sure the commissioner would also talk about social intervention. So in the day group, they mentioned, for example, Ministry of Education, they mentioned Ministry of, for example, Social Development or whatever that ministry is called. In other words, it's not just the military side or the kind of hard policing, but they're also coming with soft policing as well, community policing, and bringing in the kind of social intervention that must be a part of the discussion. So it's not that I would say that this is wrong or I would mark it down because that is not there, but I'm saying that if you are the commissioner of police, you would be more balanced in your approach in terms of discussion, okay?
Yes, sir, I get what you're saying.
Okay. All right, scroll down. You have the agenda. You have the press release. That's everybody running away
Not
from the
yet,
press
sir.
release. All right, nobody not the press release. Anybody has a press release? Renee, you're usually vocal. How are you so silent now? This is normally your moment.
And
Renee, how are you so silent? She's not there. Anybody else has anything to show? All right, at least before you upload, I can see it before. I can see it because it's 11:59. So even in the class or after the class, I can still look at it before you upload because there's some amount of time. All right, guys, if there is nothing else, I enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your day tomorrow. I will see you on Wednesday. I think that will be our final class. I probably will ask you for us to do a revision class of some sorts. All right. I see a sharing of screen. Is that somebody's going to share something now? Karen Daly is very determined with this short formal report. Ms. Daly, are you showing me your short formal report? Ms. Daly.
so remember, she can't talk when she sharing.
But I'm wondering why she thinks she's going to share 17 minutes after 9 when I want to go and watch my series. All right, have a good evening, everybody.
Same to you, sir.
All right, night, everybody.